to episode number 25 of Botcasters with Guillem Oliva of Hello Charles in Berlin. Hello, Guillem.
Hey, Dora, nice to meet you.
Welcome to the show.
Super cool doing the show.
Yes, thank you. I think so too, because you're one of the few people in my network working on conversational commerce. And that's why we're here today, right? We're going to talk about conversational commerce. But first, please introduce who you are, what you do, and how did you end up in conversational AI, conversational commerce?
Sure. All of that, I mean, it was not a straight line, to be honest, for me. So it's quite of a back and forth between a lot of different things. But basically, currently what I'm doing is I'm leading the expansion of a company that is specialized in conversational commerce, specifically in WhatsApp. But my first interactions with kind of, let's say, bots and like chat and this sort of conversational commerce sphere actually started a while ago, because already when I was in uni, I was very deep into kind of digital marketing and like trying to do business online, let's say, and I built a couple of things, anything from e-commerce platforms to also a university academy online and things like that, which, I mean, none of them completely succeeded, but all of them gave me a lot of very good learnings, one of which is how important it is to actually be able to communicate with your client, right? And to be able to communicate with them online. And that's kind of one thought that at that point I didn't really realize I would work on, but was very interesting and made me go into the kind of the marketing route. Then ended up as a consultant for a while. They're also in digital marketing, kind of helping like very big companies go into the, let's say, e-commerce sphere and try to compete with the digital native brands. And after that is when this company, Hello Charles, from Berlin, they approached me and they were like, hey, we're actually building the first company in Europe trying to pioneer in the conversational commerce. And my first answer, honestly, was, so what is conversational commerce? Because I had no idea what the term really meant. And they explained me like their vision and kind of how they had seen in Brazil and Southeast Asia and like Latin, this trend of really buying through mobiles. And they showed me like a bit of an MVP that we had at that time. And I was completely fascinated. I was like, wow, this really is amazing. This could change things big time. And that was 2 years ago. And I decided to make a jump from Spain and my kind of very comfortable job at a consulting firm to go into startup land with 10 people and try to pioneer in a market that now seems more established, but at the time was completely kind of unknown. So it's been 2 exciting years. But there's still a lot to do though. So that's also what makes it exciting.
You're saying established market, but we don't see much conversational commerce around. I mean, I'm sure there's companies doing it. There are companies doing it. You see some transactional things happening, but that's more processes. Start a conversation and then turn it into a transaction. And that's basically the same as conversational commerce, but then you're buying something. But I'm referring to administrative processes. How do you view this in the European market or in the world? I mean, in Southeast Asia, in WeChat, we know they're doing it, and in Latin America, something is happening, but in Europe, we hardly see it. Hardly. It is there, but not much. So how do you see this developing, the conversational commerce? And maybe for the viewers and listeners, you could give a definition of what you think is conversational commerce.
That's a good question. I'll actually start with the definition and then I'll give a bit of how we see it. So from a definition standpoint, I guess the way that we look around about it and the way that I think about it is conversational commerce is everything is like kind of an end-to-end relationship that you hold in chat with your customers, with of course the purpose of making commerce, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean it's only going to be about transacting, like only selling. So also not going to be only about marketing or like sending push notifications. And it's not only about just kind of having support conversations. I see it as a very, let's say, broad, like a broad way to communicate with the customers to give them the best experience possible, and hopefully convert that at some point into a sale. That's kind of a a broad, I know, not very well defined way to look about it.
But can I ask you a question about that? Are you basically saying that whether it's WhatsApp or Signal or Telegram doesn't matter, but you're saying that those channels are going to be integral channels where everything from service, after-sales service, and commerce is happening in one place? And
100%.
Basically, I'm not saying it will fully take over, but it will take over a lot of the current channels, which are email, website, etc., phone, etc., etc.
I do believe that, and that's kind of part of what my vision was going to be. I do think it's going to take over a lot of the relationship. I don't think email is going to go away. I don't think like these other channels are going to go away, because they also have some beauties, or at least not anytime soon. But we do see some kind of incipient signs that can happen. One of which is actually related to how we see the market in Europe, is if you look at different countries, there's different countries using conversational commerce in very different ways, but all of them using the same platform for it.
WhatsApp,
for instance, for example, in our case, specifically for WhatsApp. So if you think of WhatsApp itself as a platform, and you go maybe to the southern European countries like Italy or like Spain, there what you see is it's super common that almost any single business out there is going to offer you support via WhatsApp. That's just normal practice. And then you go to other countries, like, for example, Germany in the DACH region.
One question. Yeah. Is that live chat or chatbots?
Right now they do it in live chat because they don't have anything else.
Okay. So so for the understanding, it's customer service, old school, but in more modern channels. Basically, that's what's happening.
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly. I guess also one point that maybe I should clarify from my side is the way that I see conversational commerce is not that necessarily tied to like either bots or agents. It's more of just being able to gather those use cases in the channel, and then I think it's going to be a matter of combining, like, let's say, the beauty of AI bots and kind of like automating stuff with complementing with a human being whenever technology doesn't get us there, right? Like, we don't see it as either or. But yeah, I mean, kind of coming back to what I was saying, like, if you think of countries where they do a lot of support manually, but then there's other countries like the DACH region where that's not super normal, but actually every time you see more companies that start to have marketing via WhatsApp, for instance. And it's the same platform, used differently. And the interesting thing is, now in Spain or Italy, for instance, a lot of people is actually starting to try to sell, like to buy directly in chat. And businesses are literally like manually going to their shop systems, copying links from the website and pasting them into the messages and making sales directly on the channel, even though it's not really possible. And in the other way around,
they're proving that it works.
Exactly, and it happens the same the other way around. Like, if you go to Germany, where we started a lot with marketing, then once you start the conversation, users want to be able to chat back. So businesses now are like, oh, we cannot only just send marketing campaigns, we also have to be able to answer all of the questions. So it's almost by the nature of the channel. I believe it's messaging platforms. I mean, be it WhatsApp, be it something else. WhatsApp is the one that we believe most in and where I'm focused on. But I think just the nature of a conversational, of a messaging channel makes it so that once you offer something, the user wants everything. So you're going to have to expand. You're going to have to cater for all of it.
So basically, you're saying it doesn't matter where you begin. Let's say in WhatsApp, you automatically grow because of customer demands and needs to an integrated channel where you have to deliver all the services and not just one. That's Correct. What you're saying.
That's basically what inevitably happens to any business. You can fight it. Some people try to fight it especially against the support. Yeah. But that also ends up with not the best experience for the user. So you will basically have to do that and just cater all of the use cases.
That's good to know for the companies if they start investing, that they understand it's a growth model. It doesn't stop at introducing just one feature. You need to eventually introduce all of them. So in terms of the long-term funding of the project, you need to understand that you'll be adding more.
Correct. I mean, the good thing is also, if you want to start, there's, for example, simple use cases that you can start that do not require a lot of resources, like marketing, and you can actually test the waters with that. You can prove your model and only expand towards others that have more resources after you've proven the model, right? So you can definitely plan for it in a way that you only grow into it once you're convinced. You don't have to do everything at the same time, but it's almost guaranteed that you will.
Just for my to tickle my interest, how do you perform marketing in WhatsApp and then translate that into a meaningful conversation / commerce? How do you go from A to B? Because I think it's good to understand what it is that not necessarily you, but companies do in WhatsApp, what they determine that's marketing, and then how does it transfer into commerce?
It's a great question. Actually, I didn't have a slide ready for this, but I do have one in mind that I think visually is going to help us kind of understand. So maybe if you just give me 1 second, I'll open it up because it's going to give more clarity.
Because in the meantime, because I truly believe that if you have a meaningful conversation with a customer or potential customer, and you're able to pick up on his signals, then you can turn that meaningful conversation into commerce or a transaction, and that could be commerce or administrative. And I don't think that eventually there's a difference, but there is maybe not such a big difference as we think.
Yeah, no,
but you're going to enlighten us on that, right?
Hopefully. But can I share outside of Chrome? No, I just realized.
No, you need to be in Chrome.
Okay, then maybe never mind. I'll just explain it, because the point was that I wanted to make is, you say, how do you go from marketing to, let's say, other use cases like sales or service?
What is it that they do? What they say, this is marketing in WhatsApp. So is that a newsletter or sending just a message? What is it that they do? And how do you go from the marketing into a conversation, whether it's live or a chatbot, and translate that into commerce? So eventually, how do we go from communicating to making money?
Yeah, no, I think it actually is good to have in mind that it even starts before marketing. Like, a lot of times is, how do you even get into the position to do marketing via WhatsApp? Because that changes also, like, that affects the rest.
Tell us.
So basically, what a lot of companies do is you have different ways to drive people to WhatsApp with different call to actions. And in those first call to actions and the first messages, interactions that you have where you're getting their opt-ins, the purpose of those first messages is to basically already tell the customer upfront, hey, in this channel, we're going to be able to send you promotions based on different things. We're going to send you all, let's say, non-transactional information like order confirmation and whatnot. And that has to be already conversational based. Usually we make it in a way that it's like some sort of flow where it's like back and forth, and people is just, they realize, oh, I can actually talk back and forth with the company. And once we have that data, we also, everything they tell us, that's data, that's information that enrich our customer profile. So then when we send a marketing campaign, it's usually not like, let's say, it's in the forms of newsletter, but it's not like newsletter like email, where we send like a very long newsletter with to maybe 1 or 2 segments that we have, and we offer the best. But we actually do a one-to-many. You're laughing, but that's.
I'm thinking of my email box. What's coming in, and
exactly.
So sort of what you said resonated. Like, yeah, it's full of that kind of newsletters.
Exactly, because that's kind of the common practice in email, right? And what we're trying to break in WhatsApp is that trend, and we're making newsletters that are still one-to-many, but they are much more tailored to specific profiles. And why is that possible? Because the message length, if you think about it, of an email and the visual and requirements and everything compared to a WhatsApp message, it's two different worlds. Like you need a designer and you need a team to do an email. Like a lot of companies have it to do emails. A WhatsApp message, you can make it in 2 minutes. I mean, don't put absolutely anything, but it's like much shorter. It's much easier, no? So that allows you to actually produce maybe like 10 messages for each message that you would send an email, much more personalized. So you receive a newsletter about not only a promotion that we have, but you send a newsletter about a promotion that we have for specifically a product that we know you're interested in.
And how do you know that person is interested in it? Based on previous data, buying history, or based on something they looked on at the website, IP address maybe? I'm thinking of privacy.
Yeah.
But how do you enrich your data? How do you know? Here's the cool thing. I think we're going from a one-to-many communication to a one-to-one communication, because the WhatsApp channel, it's you and the company and nobody else. And the perception of the customer probably is that, this is tailor-made for me. They understand me. But how do you know what they, of course, maybe that's an obvious question. How do you know what they want? Or how do you think you know what they want?
I'll answer that, but I just need to add, actually, what I would really like to say, it's kind of the catchy phrase that I use. It's not one-to-one, it's one-to-one at scale, because that's kind of what you do. Like from the business perspective, it's at scale, it's still one-to-many. From the user perspective, as you say, it's one-to-one, which is what makes it powerful.
Well, that's where I think that's where the value is, that the perception of the consumer is, this is for me. They understand me, and that makes them want to buy, or lowers the threshold to buy from a company, because they do it for me.
100%.
That's what they want to believe. I'm not saying it's true, but
but that's definitely what they believe in, and the value that it has. But going back to the question, kind of how do we actually know what someone wants, or how do we think that we know what someone wants? I mean, the truth is, of course, we don't know. Like, we don't know exactly what they want, but we can have good guesses, no? And those guesses are based on all the data that we get from you. That it's actually quite vast, because if you think about it, there's one layer that it's all of your interactions with the shop and prior order data and so forth that we have, and that you could potentially say, well, but that you also have an email, so there's no big difference. True. I mean, I would argue how many companies use it to begin with, but that's out there for pretty much anyone to use. But what we also have in chat that is quite unique is that chat is probably the best way to collect like data directly from the user, because you know who you're talking to, you know that user is for sure who it says it is, you know their, let's say, unique identifier, that in this case is the phone number, barely ever changes. I mean, I'm Spanish. I was in Spain. I had my phone number. I don't know, whenever I got it, I still have that phone number. And I'm in Germany, and it's a pain in the ass for like many things. But I still like to keep my Spanish number, because that's how everyone has known me. So you're super attached to that one, instead of having like 10,000 different emails, like, for example, I do.
I do too.
Right? And also the interaction, since it's one-to-one, and it's shorter pieces and two-way by nature, you have a lot of back and forth. A lot of campaigns are not, let's say, one send out with, then if you open another sender after 1 day, if you do not open another sender, it's much more like the long sender gets broken down into little pieces, little flows that we send of messages. And all of that, whatever you answer, how you answer, we can actually use that.
And what kind of results do you see? Because when we prepared, you gave me some numbers, and they blew me away. What's happening in conversational commerce? So how customers respond to this way of communicating, or this way of transacting, basically. I'm like, it's like a wake-up call, basically.
It really is. I mean, there's many KPIs that we could give that are actually mind blowing.
See, there's only one thing that works here for companies to believe that it works. It's money talks. It's unfortunate that's. I think there should be two metrics. It's how much. What's the conversion rate from how many people actually buy, and it depends on what you sell, how much sales you make. So I wouldn't use that number. And how satisfied are the customers with using the channel, the ease of use, and the value they get from using these type of channels to purchase products or services. That's where I would put the value.
Those are definitely bottom line, the two important ones.
Oh, there you go.
I think actually we have numbers for both of them. So in general, for instance, if you just look comparing campaigns, say email to WhatsApp, just because email is what people is used to. On average, all of our clients have between 6 and 10x better results on WhatsApp than email. So you prepare like an equivalent campaign for each of those channels. Whatever conversion you have in an email, you're going to have maybe 6 to 10x higher in WhatsApp. And the difference usually is how good are you at email, right? If you're like one of the best, you're basically going to have maybe 6x better in WhatsApp. If your email is not even that good, like you can expect to see 10 times the results. So that speaks by itself. If you make 1,000 euros, you're going to make 10.
You're saying make 10,000 euros, but we know that if you use WhatsApp for business, it also costs money. Contrary to Telegram or Signal, where you don't pay, at least as far as I know. WhatsApp, they have a weird model of charging money, depending on where your phone number is from, or basically the country of origin. It determines the amount you pay per 24 hours per conversation, which sort of is weird because you don't get if you have customers all over the world, you don't have a predictable cost model, which is annoying from a business perspective. But how do you guys manage that? How do you include that in a business case?
Yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, it's true. It works there's two differential factors for pricing in WhatsApp. One is the country of the recipient number, and the other one is also the type of message that you send, whether you initiated, they initiated, and so forth. Usually what we do is basically, even if you have customers around the world, you do have some level of control over who you send the messages to, right? And especially with the phone number, I mean, you can literally know who you're going to send the message to because there's the prefix of the phone number, which basically tells you.
That seems to work.
That seems to work indeed. So it's quite easy to get, if you want to get very accurate numbers, and we do count that into our models of ROI and so forth. But even if you take that, like a lot of our campaigns, then, I mean, you probably want to compare them more to even maybe a paid retargeting campaign, right? Because at the end of the day, you have the user, then you have to invest some money to make them buy again. In paid retargeting marketing, you would usually look for maybe like 5x ROAS. With WhatsApp, what a lot of our clients are getting is north of 50x ROAS. So there's extreme cases where they make there's campaigns that have performed 150, 200x ROAS. I mean, of course, those are extreme cases, but even the more normal one usually is like, I think actually across portfolio last year, for instance, over more than 200 companies was around 10x ROAS. So that sort of
quite significant
by itself. Yeah.
And did you do, or is there any research in the market, either by you or by other companies, to figure out why this is so much more successful than an email campaign? I understand email, we're bombarded with email. And if you have 5 email addresses, then you're bombarded in 5 email addresses. At some point, you're like, I'm not even looking anymore. And I can understand the most logical answer would be that WhatsApp, everything is happening there, so that's why it responds better. But I can't imagine that's the only answer. that would be too simple.
I think,
or maybe it is that
it's
simple.
actually very hard. It is very hard to cut it into just one specific thing, right? But I think what is very useful is to actually break down some of the different kind of levers that you have that improve WhatsApp, no? And actually just came to my mind, here is a bit of a shameless plug to my own LinkedIn, but actually today I just posted a post on the value of open rates, because it's such
we agreed no promotion, right? This is self-promotion.
But okay. I accepted it. It is a bit of a shameless plug, but I just came to my mind.
You gave the right introduction.
But I have to say, like, I think this, for example, view itself, just speaks for itself. There's something as simple as open rate. If you just keep that one stable.
Take us, what's AOV?
That would be average order value. So imagine this case scenario, right? Where you have one company doing one campaign on email and WhatsApp. Let's say that their average order value is 80 euros. They say that they have an audience of 7,000 on each of those platforms. And the only thing we're going to change is open rate. Let's imagine that standard email open rate for already people that are doing email not that bad is 30%. If you're very good, you might get to 40. And if you're like exceptionally good in some specific campaigns, you can, I've seen numbers up to 50, but that's like top notch. 30% about right. WhatsApp open rate, easy, 90%, 95%. I mean, just think about what's the last time that you really left one message unread. Like, it happens.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
I can imagine that if we get bombarded with commercial messages on WhatsApp, for instance, that at some point the same thing happens in WhatsApp as what happened in email. In the beginning, email, everybody opened every email. Now you look at the headers like, yeah, well, they're selling me something, I'm out. So you don't even open the email. That's why the open rate is so low. So how do you make sure, how do you keep that 95% or 90%? How do you keep that? Because I would be worried that if everybody does it, then we're at the same level as email.
I think it's a very good concern. Let me just first run through the calculation, then I'll actually come back to that point, because I think this is very illustrative. So let's say that how do we keep it? It's a question we're going to answer later, but we believe that right now, if you do it today, you're going to get, let's say, 3 times better open rate. And then let's assume actually that all of the rest didn't change. Let's make that assumption that on the rest we're just simply the same. That alone would already triple the revenue you make, right? And that's just the most boring, most obvious KPI you can find. Like if you actually ended up like changing, like also assuming improvements in conversion rate because of better segmentation, things like that, then these numbers is when they completely blow up.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the point that I wanted to make with. It's useful to break it into different levels. Why does WhatsApp perform so much better? We might not get the overall picture yet, but it's very illustrative. And I think to your point of how do you keep 95% open rate, that's probably the big question we have to solve over the next years, because right now it's fairly easy. Like if you start as a business, there's very low chances that the people you send a message to have another 10 businesses sending the messages, because it just doesn't happen. Therefore, you're kind of alone. You're like email 2000. So when email started, you send an email campaign and everyone opened it and everyone clicked on it because you were the only one. Now that's WhatsApp. How do you keep it is going to be a challenge for the future that I believe WhatsApp is going to actually manage to do, because they're promoting a different use than email, than with email. It's a use of much more, let's say, less frequency, but much more relevancy, and also not only making like transactional emails or like transactional WhatsApps in this case, but then be adding all of the rest, all the rest of the use case, like adding all the support, adding like information that is actually useful for you and so forth, to remain relevant. And what WhatsApp already does is there's ratings for you based on let's say your spam behavior. They even block you if you spam them and so forth.
So there's filters in place.
Yeah, from WhatsApp itself. Like they basically will ban you if you start spamming people.
And you have to pay also for the messages you send. So that's also a threshold maybe to not spam because you're wasting money.
Exactly. You will also be wasting money. So.
I'm curious, are there any commercial companies already saying we're WhatsApp commercial only? So basically, we have only one channel and we're only conversing and commercing through WhatsApp. That's it, nothing else. And if you want to buy something, yeah, we have a website maybe, but that's it. You can't buy on the website. You need to do it in WhatsApp. Is there any company doing that?
It's funny, we actually started like that. Before building any of the software, the first thing that we wanted to do was, hey, let's become the first fashion brand in Europe that sells only via WhatsApp. We had actually realized there's even more upside in providing the software. So that's kind of why we pivoted. And right now that I am aware of, there's some people trying to start building like WhatsApp only businesses. It's not really a thing that I've seen a lot, but what we've seen quite a lot is, for instance, and let me maybe share some case of channel of like people like Woodboom, for instance. They are a business that they sell furniture. They started with WhatsApp, and currently 70% of their sales are on WhatsApp, which it's not everything, but it gets you very far, right? And a lot of their online presence is on WhatsApp. They do have a store, and I believe that's where like the other 30% comes from. But the majority of the sales are being transacted in WhatsApp. So I think that's a very kind of good example of how big the impact can really be.
I see here 30% in-chat conversion. That's interesting. So the 70% of their sales is in chat, and only 30% is in-chat conversion. So how does the rest convert?
Well, that means 30. So they have an in-chat 30% conversion rate.
So of the 100 people that come in the chat, 30% buy something.
And that 30% represents 70% of all of the sales.
Wow. And imagine now, here's the magic number. The North Star metric would be, how do you convert the 30% in-chat conversion to 80%? Because that's where the leverage is now, right?
Probably at the same time, I mean, that might be impossible, right? That would be like having in a website. Imagine every single person that comes to your website always buys. That would be...
No, but that's the interesting thing is basically what you do is with your marketing, and that's interesting because we use offline marketing with QR codes to get people online. So that's an interesting thought. But the elevating the conversion is getting the right people in the chat. Obviously, the 70% of the people getting in the chat is not the right people. I'm not saying not the right people because they might buy later.
Yeah.
But their purpose is not directly buying or maybe comparing. So how do you get the 30% of the right people up to 50% of the right people, which again is the big lever or the big button to turn to get your sales up, right?
I mean, that is a good question, but actually I would even think it in a different way. I would think whether you want that, because I mean, I guess to a certain degree, true would be amazing if you only had people in chat that actually buys you. But if you get to that idealistic point, that probably means you're missing out on people that would buy if they were in the chat. Right? Like it's almost never possible to just make a perfect cut through, because a lot of those that you were saying, they might not buy now, and that's why kind of they are not in the average conversion. But if you nurture them, they will end up buying maybe in the next, 6 months.
You're saying something really wise. If you nurture them, and that's where the hard part is. And will you nurture them in WhatsApp or in another way?
I mean, you should probably think about it and nurture them more like generally in the different touchpoints that you have. But in this case, for instance, of course, they focus the majority of their effort on WhatsApp. So that's where you can nurture them.
And do you guys use applied psychology? So in order to tune the messages or help your customers do that?
I mean, in our specific case, like let's say as a company, like we build more the software and then we give you support and best practices, but we don't get into the specific of every single client, because otherwise we would have a very different business.
No, I can imagine that helping your clients get started, you help them with the messaging, and if you make use cases or best practices, that I'm not saying you have to, but the use of applied psychology in order to get into the head of the customer and nudge him, because if you're nurturing, that's basically also nudging, and getting him in the right mindset to buy eventually. And when the offer comes, so basically you're preparing him for an offer or discount or whatever is coming. And then when it comes, you hope he buys because, you prepared him for that. So I was just wondering if you guys use that in your relationship with your clients to prepare them to go to market.
Yeah. But no, sorry. I was just going to say, I think it's extremely relevant and an interesting point. I do not think we do it like kind of purposely, but at the same time, almost like if you do marketing and think of just, let's say that you put in different words, you just do marketing in a way that resonates with your customer, for sure you're going to be applying a lot of the concepts.
Yeah, but the way I see it is that marketing in email or advertising campaigns or online bannering is so different than doing marketing in a conversation, because that's what you're doing. It's conversational AI, but talking to someone, having a conversation. If you feel like someone is pushing you a product, you're out. It's like, no, stop. I don't want that. We're having a conversation. So I'm just wondering, it's so different from regular marketing that I can imagine that you would use applied psychology to get that into the conversation, but in a proper way where the customer doesn't feel like he's being pushed to buy something. Because the WhatsApp is so basically close to his heart that you're lowering the threshold to buy. That's good from a commercial perspective, but the customer does not need to feel, well, at least that's my opinion, pushed or sort of cornered. So, okay, I have to buy. Well, you don't have to. Well, that's my thought.
No, I completely agree with the thought, and I think that that's sort of also what we try to do from day one, with even how we bring them into WhatsApp. We don't bring them into WhatsApp like with email. That email is basically you just put a pop-up and you're like, hey, subscribe and then get 10% off on your next purchase. That's kind of the only way that you've ever got into an email. And of course, you can get like these into WhatsApp as well, and we do it because it just works. But there's also many other ways. Like for instance, in the product detail page, do you have any question? Chat with us, and then like leads you to a conversation that probably will get you sales. Like inevitably it will do, but in a much softer, let's say, approach.
And all that's the last question I'm going to ask about this part. But all that data of the conversation, all the conversations you use for analysis to create better conversations, it's available for the customer for analysis.
Correct. I mean, basically what they have is then all of this data. It's kind of in their, let's say, WhatsApp CRM, if you want.
You can use it to train your AI.
That would be kind of the next step, and what we're looking at in the future is to be able to integrate that kind of AI and more ML into the chat itself. That's not currently what we're doing either. Like we know the value and we know that it will be valuable, but it's also kind of WhatsApp. It's so complex at the current moment, like because of all of these different use cases, that we're starting by enabling like more basic use cases that can work, educating people in the segmentation, educating people into using your first-party data and so forth. But I 100% agree. I think that's the future, and that's what you're going to do.
Yeah, we agree on this. But I also think it's a wise decision to have a stable process, stable product with predictable outcomes. And with the current state of AI, which is doing great, but still it's not there yet. You get some answers that you say, maybe not a good idea. You you need to curate it in some way. So you can't just let it loose and say, oh, here it is, and it does its work. You'll get into trouble with your customers, or your customers will get into trouble with their customers.
Yeah.
Different question. If you look at use cases around you for conversational AI, something that's sort of already out there or not out there, what caught your attention or would catch your attention most? Or what would you love to have that isn't currently out there? You can fantasize or dream.
Actually, there's one, it's very simple, kind of stupid thing that really caught my attention. And you're gonna see that it's not even AI, like it's the simplest use case ever in conversation. But I noticed, like, recently I was a couple of weeks in the US, and they use a lot of SMS, right? And there's like a lot of kind of SMS marketing and sales and whatnot. And the simplest use case that I realized that really kind of caught my attention, I was like, why don't we do this here more? Was on the restaurant.
Is it with geolocation?
No.
Using geolocation? No?
Was actually even simpler than that. It was so extremely simple. Maybe it was even myself, just because I didn't see it in Europe, that I was surprised of how obvious it is. But it wasn't when you go into a restaurant and you're gonna try to get a table because you didn't book it in advance, and then they usually tell you, maybe it's gonna be 10 minutes, or maybe it's gonna be like half an hour. And usually, at least here in Europe, my experience is usually they tell you, yeah, just wait around and we'll call you, or whatever. We'll call you out your name. But it's like, it's a very bothering like experience. You don't know what's like, when is it gonna be? You have to stay there in front of the door, like just randomly stand it up. And here in the US, like almost every single restaurant was, sure, let me get your phone number, and we're just gonna send you a text message when the table is ready. And I was like, this is just so simple, and it was so beautiful. Like, you just go around, they give you an estimate of time, then whenever the table is ready. In one restaurant, it was even more advanced, and they not only told me when was it ready, but they told me it was ready. Then I was going to a restaurant, and I received a couple of other messages with specifically, this waitress named this is gonna receive you, and it's gonna lead you to the first floor where you have your table ready. And I was like, wow.
So they personalized your experience in the restaurant. It's a bit like in amusement parks, where they in the old days they used to have straight lines where you could see how long the line was.
Yeah.
And people would say, "Oh my God, this line's so long." But now they make it in curves, and you can't see the behind the next one. And they entertain you with music and stuff while you're in line. So they try to make waiting actually a good experience. And this is a bit what I hear here. Okay, the actual waiting they can't change, but by informing you in an easy way, they make life a little bit easier and worthwhile waiting.
Yeah, 100%.
And the other thing, it's really smart to ask for your phone number, because for future purposes, they can start a conversation.
One of them did.
Really?
Yes, I was actually surprised. I was like, will they ever do that? And one of them, sent us a message after like maybe 3 or 4 days, because we were there in February. It was about St. Valentine, and then kind of the day before Valentine, they sent me a message again, being like, "Hey, if you still don't have a table booked, we have kind of." I don't know what they say, maybe like 2 tables at this time or whatever. And I was like, this is so smart. Like,
but seriously, I would, no, but you could also, if you do that with every customer, you can send ask the customer in WhatsApp or an SMS, but ask him if he was satisfied, if he had any comments. So you can do basically continuous customer surveys over WhatsApp and present them with a coupon for a discount for the next visit as a thank you for giving their feedback, and basically creating traffic. This is actually, thank you. This is a good example of how you go from a conversation to commerce. And that could be live commerce in the restaurant, but you could also order. Oh, you don't have to come, but you can use the coupon to order food if you're in the area. In your case, from America to Germany would be a bit too much. But yeah, it's it's actually a good idea. And if you look at the news, are there any things you saw or you see where you say, oh, it would be a delight if we would have, or that problem wouldn't have been there if we would have conversational AI in place to do that work or to have that conversation or whatever?
I mean, I think it's a very good question. It's hard to point it out to one point, but maybe now something that is coming to my mind, partially because we were talking about health and kind of the impact of AI and conversation in health, and partially because actually my sister, she's a doctor, and for instance, when there was COVID-19 and kind of the first burst and so forth, all of the doctors, they were basically called into the hospitals for hours on end to do anything from actually attending patients to also, they had a lot of kind of call center setups almost, where they were literally just receiving calls and kind of trying to calm down people and like offer some advice and this and that in a more human way. And for example, I remember my sister, she spent like almost a month, like no breaks at all, like just either like in the hospital helping with patients or having to attend calls all time long. And I remember also she always said it like we see how many people is in line waiting, and even if it's everyone at the hospital like trying to answer the calls, there was days that there's no way we're gonna be able to answer everyone. And for example, if we manage to in situations like this, maybe where there's, I don't know, some sort of emergencies or situations that create a lot of uncertainty for people and that they want to talk to human beings, if we manage to give that same experience over text in a way that it actually feels human, I think that would be a big game changer. I mean, the big problem there, or like being big challenge, is how do you actually make it so it's a 100% human feel? Because as soon as you would get like a 10% machine feel, the person on the other end would even get more upset. But I think if I should have to dream, an ideal feature would be being able to resolve maybe like critical situations via chat with the feel of a real conversation, with the feel of a real human.
I think your dream is not that far away because this human feel is getting better and better in the conversation. So with the progress of AI and avatars and that kind of stuff, I think that will be happening. And you bring to my mind another thought about this. I think in the time of when COVID was so overwhelming and every doctor was working in the hospital, I think also the sharing of knowledge between doctors nationally and internationally, what works and what doesn't work and what you need, and information about the progress of the disease in patients without giving away the privacy of the patients. I think if they would have had a central database with all the information in it and then having a conversational layer on top of it where the doctors could ask questions to the data set or where other doctors, what they did and what worked and what didn't work, we would have a much quicker dispersion of knowledge and information and best practices out there. And, it could have been multilingual. So basically you could have one database all over Europe, putting information in different languages. That's what triggered by your comment about your sister, would have been ideal, because I think there was a lot of confusion, about what worked and what didn't work and a lot of discussion. But, so that would have been maybe it's something for the EU to do for future purposes.
I mean, I think actually now you kind of be giving me also some other thoughts, because if you extrapolate that same concept of being able to sort of have an interface, just communicate with a database, but being that database something that you can kind of change and then have multiple languages, you probably could apply that to so many different use cases. And I'm thinking anything from also even customer support centers, where currently one of the bad experiences that you have is that when there's an agent, that agent is not properly trained and doesn't really know how to answer it or how to solve your question. if they also had maybe like a layer of conversation where they could just ask and receive the perfect answer that they need to give, things like that, I think it could actually be have a very big impact.
It actually already exists where AI is being used of inbound questions, and you get next to your conversation with the customer, if it's a live chat, suggestion of what to answer based on the data in a central database. So that's actually that's not a dream; it's already happening. And
that's a good one.
But it's also I think it's also one to be careful with, because first of all, AI can be wrong, and it's not an excuse for customer service people to stop thinking or stop having knowledge. It's actually only for the very knowledgeable people that they could use it. Otherwise, they're not capable of filtering whether it's the right answer or not. And then you still get frustrated.
That's one of the many challenges of AI.
Exactly. Now we know you prepared one or two chatbots to test for us, right, today?
Yes, I did actually.
I'm really curious what you have ready for us.
So sorry, you were just going to say something, I believe.
No, I was curious which one.
So I've brought one of the brands that makes my life a bit easier every day, just because I'm a huge sports fan, and there's Decathlon. Hopefully everyone knows it. I think it's popular in every single country, right?
Yeah, it's an international brand. It's everywhere.
So I was actually looking at it because I thought, I know that when I was in Spain, they had a WhatsApp support system, and I wanted to know how it advanced. And then I've seen that they also have it in the UK, so we have both of them.
It's a chatbot or a live chat?
Not sure, actually.
We'll see.
I believe it's going to be a chatbot, because at least in the UK one, when you get it through the call to action, there's a pre-filled message. So there's kind of send this message to start chatting with us. And that's usually a good cue for.
It's a trigger. So basically, what we're looking at, it's Decathlon in WhatsApp. Decathlon, it's WhatsApp, right?
Yeah, it's WhatsApp.
Decathlon UK. And the bar it already says send this message to start chatting with us, basically to trigger the bot or the customer service agent to start talking.
Okay.
So take it away.
Let's see if something happens. That would be amazing if nothing happens. Oh, there you go. So, hi, Guillem, Oliva. I'm Dec, a virtual teammate from Decathlon UK. How can I help you today?
Virtual teammates. So here it is. They introduce Dec, which is the chatbot basically of Decathlon. So they gave it a name, and they say it's a virtual teammate, and the teammate's actually smart because it refers to sports. So that they thought about branding and positioning in the chatbot. So that's actually quite good. So it asks, how can I help you today? Tracking returns, product support, or FAQs.
Yeah, I really like it a lot, by the way, like how they put in the first sentence, because I assume it's going to be a lot of bot interaction, and I think being funny about it's a bot, but kind of also an assistant and whatnot. I think it's a very good approach, much better than pretending to be an agent if there's not going to be agent involved.
I fully agree, but now becomes now the interesting question is it says 1, 2, 3. Can you select one? No, because it's WhatsApp. So what do you need to do?
Actually, that's one of the points that I was going to say. Like this, it's a bit of a room for improvement for them, because even if it's WhatsApp, you can these days you can create like kind of quick replies buttons, so that instead of having to type anything, you would have already like the button. But let's say that, I guess. Sorry. Yeah. And
I was going to say you're actually doing what I wanted to say. There's no instruction of what to do, how to answer them. So do I answer with a number, or do I need to type the text? So you tried number 3. Let's see what it does.
I'll assume that probably is the number, and let's see what it does. Hopefully. Oh, okay.
So this is really funny. So you typed, Guillem, you typed number 3, just a number, and then it says, I can answer your question faster than your 400-meter sprint. Here are some of our most common FAQs. And then please select the category by here. An interesting thing is here it gives the instruction. Please select the category by entering a letter from the list below. So above they should have said, please select a category by giving the number from the list below.
Yeah.
And then it says store information A, B, etc. until J. Store information, shipping policies, returns, refunds, order cancellations, account and online questions, shipping and payment problems, gift cards, Second Life, Decathlon for business, talk to a person. Interesting that they put it there, and then the main menu. I'm just curious, what would the main menu would probably be 1, 2, 3, what we said before.
I was thinking the same. I guess it's probably that. It's not maybe super clear in the way that they actually explain.
So try J, if you don't mind. I'm just curious.
So you want to try again main menu?
Yeah, I'm going to see what it gives us.
Let's see. So it's it's not exactly this. Well, it's basically the same, right? Like whether you need help with today.
And then now it says it included leave a rating. So what do you need help with today? Guillem, Oliva, please select a letter or word associated with the request. Here it's interesting. Before, it's the same. So it says A, tracking returns, B, product support, C, frequently asked questions, D, leave a rating. But in the previous menu, I don't know if you can scroll up, it was numbers 1, 2, 3, and not leave a rating. They left that out. And it didn't give an instruction.
True.
So they're not consistent, sorry for Decathlon, but they're not consistent in the way they communicate.
Yeah,
it's not a disaster, but it's confusing.
To me, that feels like it's probably being updated in the future, and they forgot to update part of their flow.
Or there are different persons working on it. And
sure. But to be honest, the easy way to fix all of this also, like Decathlon, if it's someone is like hearing to this, please use the advanced messages in WhatsApp. So you could make it the buttons when there's like 3 or less, and if there's more than 3, you have like a list option in WhatsApp. So basically there's a button which says, here are your options or whatever you want to put it. And then it opens all of the options. It's so much nicer the experience because there's no explanation needed. When there's a button, people know what to do. So
yeah, they click it.
Yeah, but I would actually maybe like try to go to maybe B. I'm curious to know whether it's always going to be the same. Like for example, now I'm asking for product support.
Okay, would you just type B? So you know what I find also interesting? If they want this chatbot to learn, and they also only ask you to type letters, and there's no text from you, they're not creating any data to train their bot with.
That is true. I mean, hopefully what they would do, for example, now that they are asking me, so I asked for product support, and the answer that they tell me is that I can give you advice about your bike, your fitness machine, or your electronic device like Fitbit. So what can I help you with today? And then there's options. What I hope they will be doing in the background is if now I click a specific one,
did you read? Hold on. Did you read the top of what it said? Please select here. They change it again. Please select a letter or word associated with your fitness machine or electronic device. So let's try something that's not on the list. So it says here: my bike, electric scooters, my fitness machine, my electronic device, table tennis table. Back to main menu. Talk to a person. But let's say something like boxing or something. I don't know. Or.
And I'm thinking even
archery, I don't know, something that's not obvious.
And should we only put the word? Because if I were texting, I would even go as far as my natural thing would be
a word.
Well, they're asking for a word. Okay, let's put maybe like just I like the boxing option.
It's just an example.
Let's see what they do with this.
Because to me, it doesn't make sense. See, here it goes wrong. So why would they only put these products in there while the other products are on the website? That doesn't make any commercial sense to me.
I mean, I would suppose, right, that since they're building a bot, it's probably like not like smart in the background. They have to kind of make it like somehow fit in the constraints that they have, and they're just putting like the most sold or like the most common product.
See,
but
this is interesting. So that you're probably right that they put in the products that are most sold, but that means you'll never sell anything else.
True. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly. So commercially, I don't think that's a very handy approach.
No.
But then it says it looks like you're looking for a product. But the other products, that's interesting. Before it says I can give you advice about your bike, your fitness machine, or your electronic device, like a Fitbit. But does that mean it can't give any advice on any of the other products?
I was wondering the same. I want to actually try it.
And then it asks, so what can I help you with today? So I'm telling you what you can help me with, and then you can't. It looks like you're looking for a product if you're looking for something specific. Well, a fitness machine or electronic scooter is also specific. Yeah. And try using the search bar on our website. Yeah, but I'm using WhatsApp. I'm not on your website. So this would piss me off, to be honest.
Yeah, this is not the best experience. I think this is one of the issues with, specifically, I would say with WhatsApp more than, for instance, if you have a web chat, like a web bot or whatever. With WhatsApp, once you get them here, you're supposed to be offering something else, right? If you're just going to give me the same bot, just leave it in the website. I'm already good there.
True, but also if you can connect your WhatsApp bot to the data on your website, it's not a problem. It's fair, well, depending on which platform you use, but it's fairly easy to do. So I'm confused about what comes next, because it says here use the search bar on our website and then it says one main menu. So probably it wants us to go back to the main menu or
probably.
Something.
I would assume that if.
But don't. Oh, hold on. I was going to say, what if you would put in, or you get A there, or
exactly.
B. Let's see what happens if you go back to the previous menu.
Exactly. I was thinking, I don't know whether they're going to be able to actually realize that I'm still asking for something related to the previous menu. So I clicked A. And basically it goes back to the... No, that's bad.
Oh, guys, you're losing customers because of this. Because now it answers, we asked for help with the bike, and it says, hi, Guillem, I'm Deca. I'm a virtual teammate from Decathlon UK. How can I help you today? So we're going back to where we started. It's sort of annoying.
But
how can I help you today? So to try
it's asking me the question, but it's
again.
not giving me. Yeah, it's not giving me anything else.
Just try boxing. And then see what it does. I don't know.
We're back into the same.
Looks like you can, yeah. And then it refers us to the website, and then it goes back to the main menu. Oh my God, we're in this loop.
Let's try. If I put one, will it give me any other option, or will I? And now we go to the main menu. So they have here in between. When I placed A instead of 1,
yeah.
Somehow we kind of broke their button.
I think before, where it said already to the previous thing above, where it says one main menu, it actually indicated that it's taking you back to the beginning.
Yeah, but if you think
for no reason.
But if you realize here, like when I actually click 1 now to the main menu, at least it gives me different options. It tells me, what do you need help with today? Please select the letter. Before, it really started at the very beginning without any indication of what can it ask about. Right?
And you already did that, so that's annoying.
That's even more annoying.
We're complaining a bit, but at the same time, it's really cool that they're already in WhatsApp. So on a positive note, they are there. I would say let's try tracking and returns. A. See what it does.
For A.
But because very often that's also an annoying part. I'll be happy to help you with your order. What can I help you with today? Start with one of the options below. A, track my order. B, return my order. C, back to main menu. D, talk to a person. Okay, I'm glad they still have the talk to a person in there. Let's try B, return my order. Let's see what they do.
Let's see. Hopefully they're just going to ask me for some code.
They might ask the order number or something.
That'd be the easier. Oh, they want to create a return label.
Before we create your return label, what type of return are you interested in? Through your mail, through Asda, marketplace, bulky item return, marketplace, main menu, talk to a person. Why should I decide how to return it? Don't they decide? Because the returning it, the way you return something determines the cost, right?
It would. I mean, what I'm on the flip side though, something positive. I'm pretty impressed already. If this is correct, that they would give me the return label already in WhatsApp. If that were to happen, I would be impressed. But it's true that it's a weird experience.
Well, that means they're connected to the back end. Otherwise, they can't return and make a. But you know what's interesting? I wouldn't be surprised that they originally designed this chatbot for track and trace and returning orders to take that part of administrative work out of the company and build the rest around it. And that's why we have some problems in the other stuff. And I wouldn't be surprised that try one of them. This makes sense. Asda is a shop, I think.
I mean, let's go for Asda and see what they say. I mean, the thing that I don't like at all, but I mean, that is not Decathlon itself, but the use here, just only using letters in a chat of WhatsApp, to me as a user, it just annoys me very much. I think if they manage to introduce like buttons or like more text, would be so much better.
You know what's also interesting? That you're in a conversation with Decathlon UK, and in between it gives you Spanish. WhatsApp gives you Spanish messages where you're conversing in English.
What do you mean?
You're using a Spanish number, right?
Yes, I am.
Behind. And WhatsApp, we're communicating with Decathlon UK, where the language is English, and in between we just saw messages of WhatsApp in Spanish, saying you have 3 unread messages. That was so somewhere there's it's not that important, but it says here you can create your QR code by simply clicking the following link and following the instructions. So it takes you to a different website specialized with a page for Decathlon to make the QR code. Please keep in mind the carrier might have some measurement restrictions and your parcel should not exceed X measurement and 25 kilograms. And then it asks helpful, not helpful, back to main menu. This is actually, I'm not sure what they're going to ask if we're going to make a QR code, probably some delivery information. But this is actually not half bad, but they're using an external application to create it. So it's not as advanced as you thought it would be. As
I wished it would be, yeah. I mean, it's not bad. At least it directs me straight to the right place and so forth. But I would have loved it if they managed to do it in the WhatsApp.
And I missed the part. If I would be a consumer sending something back, I would want to know who's paying for the return.
Yeah.
So are they paying? Am I paying? Am I paying? Which one is the cheapest? Or
having more information. Also, actually, from the business perspective, even maybe why are you returning this product or so forth. I mean, maybe they collect it after, but it would be also a very good way to collect even free text like answers that you could then process with simple, like even AI, right? So it's the right place to collect a lot of information. WhatsApp, and they're missing out on this use.
Yeah, what they're also missing out on is then the future, which is actually already here, is the being able to train their own AI based on their data set. They're not creating a data set other than the path a consumer is taking, the choices he makes down the road. That's it. But there's no other data collected. So I think that's a pity. How do you make FAQs if you don't have the? What do you want to try?
I was going to say, I want to try though what would happen to them if I actually, like, whether they can sell me a product. If I go for one of the standard options, like a bike and so forth. So I'm just going to go quickly through the channel, like the channel. So I went back to the main menu,
So this is your conversational commerce talking, right?
Yeah, I just want to see whether they thinking of this.
We're back here. Please select a letter or word associated with your fitness machine or electronic device. And what are you going to try? My bike?
I'm actually going to try to make it even simpler to them. I'm going to try table tennis, because a bike is so complex. There's probably no way they're going to be able to sell it to me without an agent. Okay. And they're probably not going to put it. But a table tennis, it's not that much.
So we typed E for table tennis table in the menu. Let's see what it does. It's really slow.
This is disappointing.
To learn about spare parts, user guides, FAQs, and request technical assistance from our experts about your tennis table, please click here. Support Decathlon.co.uk, table tennis. We aim to get back to you within 24 hours. Oh my God. Oh my God. You're in WhatsApp, you're using a chatbot, you're instant answering me, and you're telling me if you go to the website, you get an answer within 24 hours.
This was actually disappointing in many different ways.
This is the point where people say, well, F you, I want to talk to a person now. The good thing is in the menu that follows, they give you the option to talk to a person. But I truly believe that person is not going to have the best calls with people.
Yeah, I also wonder, like, how long is it even going to take me? Because now everything is WhatsApp, I expect fast. I mean, they already put me the queue of we aim to get back to you within 24 hours, so it would take maybe forever.
Try type something like, can I buy a product in this chat?
Can I buy a product? Guys, there's no easier way to understand my intent here. Can I buy a product?
My assumption is that it doesn't understand you, and that either talk to a person.
Looks like you're looking for a product. So they basically want me to use the website.
I think you have a potential client for conversational commerce here.
I think I have to talk to Decathlon indeed. The good thing is they're already using WhatsApp, which I'm surprised.
I'm glad they are. That's definitely a good thing, and I'm also glad that the returning part is sort of automated, even though they use an external website to do that. Kudos for that, but I think this is their chatbot is very rudimentary.
Yes.
And they're missing out on collecting data, and they're missing out on the commerce part. And they're actually missing out on having a real conversation between the chatbot and the consumer.
Yeah, I mean, and there's actually even two specific tips that I would give them, because they're also missing out on one very heavy thing that is, right now, I mean, this chatbot is quite rudimentary, but at least they're probably getting like a fair amount of people clicking into it and talking. Right now, based on this conversation, they at no point in time ask for my consent to send me any messages back in the future, any sort of opt-in or anything. And it's not necessarily that you have to do it now to send me messages, but at least get the opt-in, get me in there. I have now a conversation with you. Doesn't cost you anything to add a message at the very beginning, also automated with the pod. Just, hey, glad to hear you you need some help from us. In order for us to support you now and in the future, please just accept agree to receive communications from us. Yes, no, you're gonna get super high conversion, and at least you're gonna have numbers that you can use in the future.
Yeah, especially if you combine service and commercial purposes in one, and be honest about it. It's like, and do you want to see? That's another thing. A lot of companies are still wasting a lot of money on paper brochures in the letterbox, which, if you look at the environment and the economics of it, I understand it works. But what if you could get done with all the waste? Just send me the offers in the products I'm interested. If I don't like to ride a bicycle, don't send me any offers on the bicycle, because I couldn't care less. But if I'm into boxing, send me all the offers about boxing or kickboxing, and I'm interested, and chances are that I'll buy, because it's relevant. And here's the problem: why? And that's your point. So why don't you ask for an opt-in and in the same time get information if you're looking for boxing? The question could be, are you interested in special offers in boxing products? You want us to, if you put that in between, you want us to send you a notification when there's a special offer. And who won't say yes? I think almost everybody will say yes, yeah. So that I don't have to go look for it. You alert me. So I'll just have to wait until the message comes.
Completely agree. And I think also for people like even Decathlon uses like the brochures, and for them it's even easier to actually start using WhatsApp 48 because I mean some businesses that are only used to email, they're like, but this potential cost from WhatsApp, which by the way, for those that might not know, it's cents, right? Like it's not like WhatsApp is gonna cost you euros for every message.
No, it's cents. I know in Holland it's if you use a Dutch number, it's like 14 cents per 24 hours for a conversation.
And Holland, since you guys are quite rich, it's one of the higher.
I know it's really expensive in Holland compared to other countries.
I think it's one, if not the most expensive, to be honest, because the majority of them are 10 cents or even below, in maybe Southern Europe and whatnot. So if you use brochures, your cost of the brochure and whatnot is probably in sending it the same or even higher. So you can basically replace that with a more effective channel for even a cheaper price. It's just like a no-brainer.
Yeah, and imagine that you. This is what I meant in the beginning, where you have a good conversation that you can transgress or transfer into a transaction, may it be commercial or service, it doesn't matter. But if you have a good conversation, it's easier for you to give your information or your preferences, because it feels good. And I think this is all about how does it feel. And to be honest, kudos for Decathlon UK that they're in WhatsApp. They're ahead of the pack, so that's good. It's very rudimentary, but I understand it's a virtual colleague. But my opinion is it's the conversation. It's not a conversation. It's just I have to choose A or B the whole time, and it doesn't allow me to actually talk to the bot. And when I try, it just sends me to the website where I don't want to go, because then I wouldn't have been in WhatsApp in the first place.
Correct. I agree with you. I think it's really good that they're using it already. It's definitely a sign that there's someone in Decathlon that wants to be a bit of a pioneer and that understands where the future is going. But at the same time, there's many, like even little wins that they're leaving on the table that they could easily implement, even if they just want to test it, but at least test it properly. It's quite sad also to see how much potential is left behind.
Yeah, but if you think about it, Decathlon has, if I remember correctly, they do regular discounts on their website where certain products or product categories are discounted. Imagine a situation where in their database, connected to those phone numbers / customers, their preference is mentioned, and also if you know from previous orders their sizes, if it's clothing or shoes.
Yeah.
How great would it be, like you send a message with a link, okay, here are the 5 products that just went on sale or will go on sale tomorrow morning, because you're an appreciated customer, we'd like to give you a little heads up, maybe you can pre-order, whatever. I would be delighted as a customer. It's like, I'm not ordering today because it's going on sale tomorrow, or you're triggering me to buy something in a short while because it's on sale. It's cheaper than normal, and we know people. We know how it works psychologically.
Yeah.
So, and if it's what I want, then the going back to the numbers you showed in the beginning, those conversion rates. You can imagine what happens to them.
That's the magic. I mean, imagine a Decathlon using WhatsApp for these purposes, with the amount of data that they probably have already and the amount of people that they have. Like the economic impact that you can bring into the company with just implementing simple use cases, like you said, because actually using that, like you were saying, just sending like an offer a specific day to a specific group of people based on maybe the product category, that's not a complex thing. That's like a simple use case, and the potential economic impact that it has is just really, really high. And I mean, right now users are not used to it. So when users see it, just the fact that they do it via WhatsApp, it's already like even it has a cool aspect to it. Like I've seen friends of mine that they receive newsletters for the first time, and they screenshot them usually, and they send it to me like, hey, I actually received my first newsletter, and it's actually quite nice, and things like that. So yeah, I mean, a lot of potential.
Yeah, so if you look at the future, or if we look at the future, that's I think we're going literally data-based one-to-one marketing based on one-to-many technologies, where data and data analysis will play a big part, and maybe real-time data analysis, feeding maybe not campaigns, but one-to-one messaging, but data-driven and based on the systems to throw it out there and to create business or commerce. But that's the way I see it, and I wouldn't mind that happening to me. If I always order a certain type of sneakers, I love it when the company or one of the companies sends me a message, oh, they're going on sale tomorrow, and we have your size. You want us to reserve one or two pairs for you? I would instantly say, if I just had to say yes or no, you know, how easy can you make it? Just say yes. Okay. Well, yeah. We'll notify you, and we'll just put the order ready for you. You just only have to say yes and pay. That's it.
Completely agreed. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, if you actually use personalization and data correctly, like, it's just a really good experience. The problem is a lot of companies, not to hear like annoy anyone, but like they talk a big talk and everyone talks about personalization, but the truth is it's barely ever getting really well implemented. But I mean, if you do it, I'm like you, like if you send me, I'm actually a loyal customer of many of brands, because I don't use many different brands, but the ones that I do, I just do it over and over again. And for example, I don't know, I'm just going to name it because I love them. But Nike, I just, Nike, if you see this, just, I don't know, I love you guys. I really like your shoes specifically.
We'll tag them.
So I'll give you a discount if you want to use conversational commerce also. But basically, they send me some message at some point with, hey, you've bought like these 5 pair of shoes. So we know which pair of shoes you like. And they send me, oh, these other ones are just now on sale, and it's like your same shoe size. There's almost no way that I would be able to say no. So
I agree. What would be your no? Let me phrase it differently. If there's a company that wanted to start in conversational commerce, they saw this podcast, or they heard it from someone else. They say, okay, we need to start doing conversational commerce. I know it's easier said than done. I know that. What would be your advice to that company, or to the CEO of that company, to as to how to start, how to get this going? Because it's different. It's not normal conversational AI. It's a little bit different. So where should we start?
I think it's a great question. And the first thing that I would say, it depends also if you're a big company or like a rather small company. If you're a small company, the first thing that I would say is, get yourself a WhatsApp business number if you don't have it. Get a bubble in the website, or a couple of call to action in the website. Get it live. Start talking to, saying it to consumers, and see what's the reaction. Like, without nothing fancy.
Just conversing. Just live chat.
Exactly. Just nothing fancy. Literally, just put it out there and use it. And yes, you will have to invest some time on like conversating with them. But I think that's the best way if you really are just at the very, very beginning.
As a small company.
As a small company, exactly. To realize, oh, is this something that would have an impact? Is it something that my consumers would like? Because then you're going to receive feedback.
And the costs are really low, because you just need the number and change the bubble in your website.
Exactly.
That's it. So basically, here's the advice, plain and simple. Test the water with your customers. Just ask them, or gather information directly from the people that buy your products.
Exactly. That's the advice for any small business out there. Like just try it. The advice for larger businesses, I mean, especially, of course, enterprise businesses like Decathlon, but even just the large e-commerce that has a lot of volume, it's slightly different because if you put a WhatsApp bubble in an e-commerce that has 500,000 views per month, good luck to you.
Good luck to the agents.
Exactly. Good luck to the agents that potentially you might not even have because you were extremely lean until now. So good luck not annoying your customers when you cannot reply. What there I would advise is very different. Is for sure find the right partner. I mean, of course, if you need
talking about tech.
Yes, in terms of tech, like find the right tech partner, because you do need to be able to scale those operations from day one fast. Otherwise, you're going to be like underwater pretty fast, and you're not going to see the potential. And what I would then suggest is start with like simple use cases.
Example
is a simple marketing use case, like a simple newsletter use case, where literally you just have an opt-in flow with similar to what they're used to email, but like to WhatsApp, and see there the conversion that you have. And in those first opt-in flows, you can even already be explicit in the way that you put in your messages, kind of letting people know. Do not expect to return an answer back, so that like everything, like expectations are aligned, but at least on the same level of interaction that you have with the channels, you can already test and use the power of conversational commerce. Once you realize that your conversion in those flows are 10 times higher, then you will want to know how to do the rest. But I think for the majority of people, that's kind of step one, is some very simple flows. Especially I would do like conversion focus, like welcome flows, like potentially product description page flows with simple like automation of questions, and then like giving you the link to the checkout page of the product, things like that. If you really don't even want to do that, then on the very, very least, do like Decathlon has done here. Start automating certain steps, maybe like the tracking link notifications, and maybe like gathering some feedback 15 days after you send another message asking how it went, things like that. Very like kind of like very light operations, but at least you get yourself into the channel. You start
and you're still
people.
Engaging. You start collecting data and you start engaging with the customer, and I think that's
exactly. And you start realizing you can compare whatever use case you do. I mean, it's not like you're just going to be reinventing the wheel. You either already do it in email, or you do it, I don't know, in customer support with email as well, like with some web chat. But at the very least, you have like a data point that you can compare to and see, is this WhatsApp thing or is this a conversational commerce thing really much better? Is it something that I want to think about long term? I think that would be the at the very least what you should be doing. And if you're very convinced already, then just go all out and become the pioneer. I mean, those are the ones that win also.
Yeah, but that's usually how it works. You need to pioneer and to come back to what you said in the beginning, that you tried stuff and it didn't work. And actually, I think that trying stuff that doesn't work is actually even that is a success, because you understand what doesn't work.
100%.
A lot of people don't know what doesn't work. They still have to learn. So you have an advantage there. So that would also be the message, my message or your message. Try until you not die, but keep trying and accept that you fail as well in order to get to the successes.
I completely agree to that. I mean, you need to try. The only thing that I would make sure here is, specifically because the channel is quite complex, if you do have like kind of volume and like a lot of complex use cases, just know, maybe try on your own, get some advice, get some right partner to try.
And that's probably the not about your tech, but in general, getting the right tech stack. That means looking ahead at do I need to scale? Yes, okay, that is a different requirement for my software stack. And I need to properly study that, because if it can't do it, you immediately will hit a wall and be limited in what you can do, and customers will be frustrated. So I think we agree on this, and it is an exciting new field. And I'm really happy you wanted to share this with us, Guillem, today. because I think it's important that this gets out there. We're all talking about conversations and chat GPT and blah, 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 blah. But in the end, there's money that needs to be made in order to finance all this, right?
Yes.
And somehow a little bit of that truth is hidden in conversational commerce. So I'm really glad you shared your insights with us. And I'm pretty sure that in the future, as tech progresses, you will be back to tell us more.
I hope so.
Or if you guys have an amazing discovery or amazing tech, I'd love to have you guys. If someone is looking for you, Guillem, wants to contact you, how do they find you?
First, let me tell you also, Doran, it's honestly my pleasure also to be here and share this. When you told me about it, my first reaction was, of course, yes, because I think there's not enough being said about the topic and being shared. But of course, if anyone wants to find me and also learn a bit more about conversational commerce specifically, I would say the best place is to find me on LinkedIn.
Okay, well, shall I tag you in everything so that they don't have to write your name?
Please do, because my name is a Spanish name, so probably 50% of the people will not get it right. But
I'll tag you.
Tag me there, and you can find me in LinkedIn. I try to share daily or almost daily tips and kind of best practices, use success cases that I see and so forth to really try to help. My goal here is to educate and to give more insights into how a business can leverage this technology to win in the future, because I think that's where we're going.
And Guillem, if you find a business or a customer of yours or somewhere in the market that is WhatsApp only, let me know, and I really want to talk about that, and maybe we include the CEO of that company too, because I think that's really interesting and ballsy to do that, because you're fully dependent on the platform. That's scary, but at the same time you're only where the customer is, so that makes it interesting.
I will definitely let you know if I find one of those brave ones.
Very good, very good. Guillem, I want to thank you very much for being here today. I joined the conversation, and thank you for all the knowledge and insights you shared. And well, hopefully see you soon live somewhere on one of the events and or in a future podcast.
Thank you, Doran. It was really a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much. See you soon.